Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation, where I review action figures and then articulate 5 points to help you decide if you want to add that figure to your collection. The 5 points I discuss are packaging, presentation, posability, playability, and price. I'm Jason, and if you enjoy my content, please like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube rigmarole. Today, we're taking a look at the all-new DC Multiverse Gold Label Hush Superman. Also, just a bit of a heads up, I'm a bit under the weather, so if my voice is off this time around, that's why. Starting off with the packaging, and not only is this a DC Multiverse box, it's a Gold Label DC Multiverse box. And not only is this Superman, but it's Hush Superman. Legal on the bottom, barcode with, I think, a secret hint at another upcoming figure. Notice it says Superman Hush, and then in parentheses, Angry Laser Eyes variant. That leads me to think that we might be getting a standard version in the future. And then on the back we get a pretty cool picture of Superman under Poison Ivy's control. Notice all the battle damage detail that sadly did not make it to the figure. Even so, for packaging, I'm giving Superman 1 whole point. Moving on to presentation, and Hush Superman stands at 7 inches on the dot. Over the last year I've said a lot of critical things about this body mold, and I would like to officially recant. Hands down, this is one of the single best Superman figures ever made. Below the neck, it's just Superman the Infected with a new cape, but not only is it a great cape, it actually has the yellow Superman S on the back. I also can't speak highly enough of this color scheme. The red, blue, and yellow were nice and vibrant. Honestly, the only thing I don't like is how the logo's pinched off at the bottom. Again, the head is brand new. It's distinct for its angry, glowing eyes. Definitely cuts a great profile. I particularly like how the spit curl juts out. Additionally, his hair is also a bit tasseled. Very good job on the clenched teeth and jaw. Little bit of shading in there to bring it out. I'm really hoping that the inevitable standard version is a happier version of this rather than just being a reuse of the Action Comics 1000 head, but don't worry, we'll be checking that out during head swaps. In many ways, this is the McFarlane Toys Superman figure I have always wanted. I love the colors, I love the S on the cape, and even the body mold, which I've been critical of in the past, works better here because of how the colors break it up. Combined with a unique, uncharacteristically angry head sculpt, and for presentation, I'm giving this Superman 1 whole point. Moving on to posability, and although we have seen this body several times, every action figure is somebody's first figure, so it's worth going over again. From the top in Superman's has a dumbbell joint. He can look up this far, which is decent. Could have gotten more if the hair was a bit flatter across. To be honest, I might even trim it myself. Anyway, he can look down this far, which is really good. Pretty decent tilt, and all the way around. Moving on down, and Superman has swivel hinge shoulders that get just over 90 degrees, forward and back with the rotator cuff, bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, and McFarlane wrist balls that can swivel and hinge. Shifting to the torso, and Superman has a diaphragm joint and a dumbbell waist. Using both, he can arch back this far, and in combination with his head, here's how he looks flying. He can hunch over this far, which admittedly isn't much, but luckily Superman can tilt and twist. Below the waist, and Superman has the typical McFarlane hips. They can kick forward this far and split this far. Decent twist at the hip, but not nearly as much as more current body molds. But moving down, Superman has double jointed knees, toe articulation, and McFarlane ankle balls that can swivel, hinge, and pivot. This is a body we've seen several times before and has all the articulation we could possibly want. For posability, I'm giving Hush Superman 1 whole point. Moving on to playability, and Superman comes with a trading card and a figure stand. Pause here if you've never heard of Superman and need to know what his origin is. Since it is Superman, I'm kinda surprised he didn't come with a flight stand. More importantly, he does come with these alternate open hands, and most importantly, he comes with Poison Ivy's vines. They've been cast in a nice soft green plastic, and could easily be used on other figures as well. But playability is more than just accessories, it's also about how well your figure plays with others. For just a few of the Trunksy Supermen that brought us here, and here we have the original Superpowers by Kenner. Seeing a McFarlane Superman with this color scheme is awesome. Veering into 6-inch territory, and here's this 2003 one by Mattel, and also DC Universe Classics by Mattel. For some DC Direct comparisons, and here's this one from the Through the Years box set. Here we have the history of the DC Universe. Here we have DC Essentials. And if there was any doubt at the perfection of this color scheme, here's the Christopher Reeve Superman by NECA. But don't worry, we'll be saving the McFarlane Superman comparisons for later. Of course, since this is Hush Superman, we've got to bring out Hush Batman, but this one, of course, is my custom. I unfortunately don't have an unaltered one to compare him to. That said, for some other Batmans, and here we have the Secret Files version from DC Direct, the Nightfall one from DC Essentials, and then moving over to McFarlane, and here we have Detective Comics 1000, Battle Damaged, 3 Jokers, Page Punchers, and Rebirth. For some other Justice League comparisons, and here he is with a new 52 Wonder Woman, and the one designed by Todd McFarlane himself. Here we have the Endless Winter Aquaman and his increasingly droopy trident. Here we have DC Essentials and DC Multiverse versions of The Flash, and DC Essentials and Multiverse versions of Hal Jordan. For a couple of super supporting characters, and here we have the DC Universe Classic Superboy, and the DC Essentials Supergirl. For some Superman villains, and here we have the Battlesuit Lex Luthor, General Zod, this fellow, and the Warhammer Necron Warrior, which is what I use for Metallo. Here we have the Secret Files Poison Ivy. I personally love this figure, but we definitely need an updated one, and since this is a Hush Superman, I'd be remiss if I didn't show him with Hush. For some 7-inch heroes from the House of Ideas, here we have the Marvel Select Captain America, the Mighty Thor, and the Immortal Hulk. That said, if you're wondering about Marvel Legends scale figures, here you go. There you go. For a relative scale comparison, here he is with Pizza Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man. Just look at all those bright reds and blues. And as always, here he is with Stealth Iron Man. With those out of the way, let's move on to what a lot of you have been waiting for, head swaps. First things first, and here we have Action Comics 1000. Right off the bat, this does look pretty good. From a distance, I dare say it looks perfect. And honestly, the other way around looks pretty cool too. Backing up, it seems a little bit large for the body. Next up, and here we have Superman the Infected. I did this one for the cape. Hush Superman should honestly be a lot more battle damaged, so if any of you were thinking about a battle damage custom, well, here you go. But hey, while we're here, this is pretty creepy too. Next up, and here we have Bizarro. For one thing, it gives you another tattered cape option. For another, if you added some gray chalky paint to this very angular head, you might have a pretty decent comic book Bizarro. But for those interested in the other way around, here you go. Personally, I still think this head looks more like Joe Fixit than Bizarro, but that's just me. Here we have DC Rebirth. It's the exact same sculpt as Action Comics 1000, but the paint job blends in even better. The other way around looks pretty good too. As good as this figure can look. Here we have the Dark Knight Returns version. If you like your Superman particularly swole or just really don't like the original head, this could honestly work. The colors match up pretty well, and the profile's fairly consistent with the Dark Knight Returns comic. Side by side with the Dark Knight Returns Batman, and honestly I could get behind this. Here we have the black solar suit version from the Superman and Lois comic book. Since it's the same base body, the proportions work, and the skin tones are a perfect match. The same can be said for the other way around. And on the subject of black costumes, here we have the Snyder Cut. Obviously the realistic head doesn't quite work on this more comic book style body. Still, seeing Cavill like this does make me feel wistful over what could have been. Thanks to all the texture, the other way around is pretty interesting, but the head's a bit big, which kind of makes the body look a bit too skinny by comparison. For an angry laser eyes comparison, and here we have the Dark Knight's Death Metal version. It's not exactly the same as Mullet Superman, but for the time being, this is probably the closest we're going to get to a 90s version of the Man of Steel. And to be honest, I think this is a decided improvement as well. And although not Superman exactly, one comparison I'm sure a lot of you are curious about is Superboy Prime. In general, I do like this head sculpt, but I can't help but wonder if it's not just a bit too small for this body. Just be warned that in addition to needing a new paint job, it's also a bit flat. Other way around, and it does seem a bit too big. He does look ready to punch a hole through reality, or at the very least, some drywall. Lastly, here he is with Page Punchers. Not really my preferred aesthetic, but if you like it, good on ya. Especially for those trying to make a more Brandon Routh style Superman. And hey, the hands finally seem a bit more proportionate. The Poison Ivy vines, while a nice touch, is definitely not the reason most people are going to want to buy this figure. And while the angry heat vision eyes, laser eyes, is a wonderful variation, it's frustrating that we're going to have to wait to pay an extra $20 just for a static head sculpt. Even so, the point of this figure was to capture his angry, possessed by Poison Ivy look, and McFarlane knocked it out of the park. For playability, I'm giving Superman 1 whole point. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. I got the Black Label Hush Superman on McFarlaneToysStore.com, which I'm pretty sure it's exclusive to, but the nice thing is if you order from them you can get some pretty sweet coupons. If McFarlane released a static expression version first, I can't say that I would have bought this one. In terms of this figure, I feel like I got my money's worth, but moving forward it's making me a little bit more gun shy. For price, I'm giving the Black Label Hush Superman 1 whole point for a grand total of 5 out of 5. For more Hush, check out my look at the Batman vs. Hush 2-pack, or for more Superman head swaps, check out this video. Are you going to pick up this figure or wait and see what the standard version looks like? Sound off in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.